Looking for financial insights you can trust?
How do you protect yourself as an investor? What's the strategy?
I think it's really simple. I think you just want to be diversified in your portfolio.
The Payne family brings real-world experience to every conversation.
Well, I think that's the problem right now is, right, a lot of people that are close to retirement, they're taking so much risks. And if we do get a big sell-off, it could derail their retirement.
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
The cost are the death threats that Miss Omar, myself, and Mr. Schiff keep getting because Mr. McCarthy continues to aim and project these smears against us.
But the consequence of his claims is not just that I'm not on the committee and he's weaponized the Intelligence Committee. It's that it inspires these death threats. The aim of these threats is to silence me and to silence anyone like me in Congress from speaking out against Donald Trump.
Direct death threats have been made at me, and Pam Bondi's Department of Justice declined to prosecute.
Eric Swalwell doing what he loves to do. Humble brag. Oh, my goodness gracious. I'm so important. I'm such a thorn in the Republican side. They want me dead. No. I want you in jail. And it looks like that may be where you're going. You're not going to be governor. Well, he wants to be governor. However, more than any one person in the world, Joel Gilbert has the goods on Eric Swalwell. Joel Gilbert, the great filmmaker, investigative journalist. The man is truly amazing. And oh, by the way, he speaks French. I just find that so cool. He whips it out sometimes in his movies. Joel Gilbert, you strike again. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm all over Eric Swalwell. As you know, I went to his town hall actually in Los Angeles on January 9. It's supposed to be a 2-hour town hall where he takes tons of questions. I think he recognized me because he came around and shook my hand. He cuts off the town hall to only 30 minutes. I never got to ask a question. Very few people got to ask questions. He has 3 goons surround me and kick me out of the town hall. And that's when I filed my petition against him to force the Secretary of State of California to remove him from the ballot for governor, because I have maintained and put forth all the evidence that he's not qualified, because he told his mortgage lender in D.C. that would be his primary residence, and he has no California address. And the California Constitution requires the candidate to live in California for 5 full years before the election. So Swalwell, being as immature as he is, he called me a MAGA idiot, and then on Twitter, and then he said, "I'll see you in court, Joel." Now, he's not actually even going to court. It's me against the Secretary of State. So every time he says something, it's just a mess.
Well, it looks like there's momentum here. I heard that, the DOJ is getting very serious. Another matter has been referred to them. Now, look, I prefer indictments. DOJ, investigative bodies get things referred to them all the time, and they don't necessarily act on them. Where are we right now in this process? What's going on?
I know he's been referred to the DOJ for mortgage fraud, because if he says, I can run for governor of California because I live there, it means he committed mortgage fraud in D.C. If he didn't commit mortgage fraud in D.C., he can't run for governor. Now, my petition to remove him from the ballot has a hearing on March 27th. The judge seems like an old-school judge. She's not a leftist Obama appointee or anything like that. I think I have a decent chance because they're very simple facts. In the meantime, I've got more research on Swalwell coming out very shortly. You'll see something in the Daily Mail tomorrow. I don't want to tip my hand completely. But just look at Swalwell. Here's what he's up to. He knows that the Democrat primary winner in California will automatically become governor. He knows that the radical left are the ones that show up for the primary to vote. So he's positioning himself as this far-left Democrat, saying these crazy things like about ICE. Every day he's saying about ICE. He just posted yesterday, he said, they need to lose their masks. Identification needs to come out. Immunity is gone. They think they're invincible. So exactly what you played on those quotes, that he's afraid of death threats, he wants the leftist mobs to show up at people's houses and attack them. That's what he's advocating, because he wants, ICE officers to be identified. So he's nothing but a big hypocrite. I find him to be a very immature person. He uses the F word every time he opens his mouth. He's saying the F word. He F word on Twitter all the time. He thinks that makes him hip or cool, but I think it just reveals how really childish and ignorant he is.
So, all right, look, let me think about this. They're 5 hours ahead there in the UK Daily Mail, so maybe tomorrow morning they're going to put out the story. So maybe you can come on tonight and talk to me about what it is if it has broken at that point. Can you give us a little hint about what's going to go down in the Daily Mail? What you got on them?
You know what? It's so embarrassing and so humiliating. Let me just put it this way. He won't have any women voters after this. That's all I can tell you. Okay? And it's
wow.
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. So you're going to. We'll see if it pops in sometime today. I'll get in touch. If not, tomorrow looks pretty good for Daily Mail. Daily Mail did feature the entire story last week of my petition to remove him from the governor's race. And Swalwell stupidly released a statement. He said, "Oh, I go to a donut shop in the Bay Area, and I fly there very often." You know, these excuses. But the fact is, he filled out his candidate statement where you're required to give your home address so that you can be vetted properly by the Secretary of State in California. He gave his attorney's address. And it's because he doesn't have an address in California. He refuses to release his address, but he says the ICE officers have to be unmasked so they can be identified and the mobs can show up at their houses and they can be under attack. That's what a hypocrite is.
Hey, listen, you're a great investigative journalist, and I just have to run something by you. I don't know if you heard about this yet, but Jill Biden's ex-husband, a guy named Bill Stevenson, who was totally screwed over by Joe Biden in so many ways, legally, morally, has just been arrested for the murder of his wife. Now, look, I know the guy. I think he's innocent. I know the wife. I think she, quite frankly, looked unhealthy to me when I met her. But I think the guy's innocent. They didn't arrest him right away. They had to do an investigation. So whatever happens here, it's not an open and shut case. I know that Biden has weaponized the justice system against this man and against President Trump and others. He's got very deep ties to the intelligence community. I mean, you have any thoughts on that? Because I think everything should be on the table. I know that the Bidens would love to get revenge on this guy. They've tried before. They actually got a measure of it already. They made him a convicted felon, if you can believe that, for doing nothing wrong. You know, the intelligence community hates Trump. And this guy was a vocal Trump supporter. Is there anything, you want to say anything about that?
Look, I can say I've definitely seen him on your show multiple times, and he seemed like a very sincere, nice guy. He talked about how his wife was a nanny for Joe Biden, and kind of abandoned him for the lifestyle of joining a U.S. senator. She liked the glamour of it, and she divorced him, and that how he knew Joe Biden, and Biden and Jill had lied about them meeting after the death of his wife. So I felt he was a very sincere person on your show and a very good guy. So I did see the news reports that his wife was found unresponsive. So I guess we just got to hear some of this evidence because I'm with you. He seemed like such a good guy. I wouldn't believe he could hurt a fly. So let's see what the evidence is. I'm going to be very skeptical like you until I see some real strong evidence.
So here's one thing that really, I think, is fascinatingly suspicious for the Bidens. This is Delaware. It's a small state. Bill Stevenson's a big deal in that state. He's a big deal businessman, and, everybody knows he was married to Jill. This guy's been telling this story on and off for a couple of years. The hometown newspaper, the one newspaper in Delaware, doesn't touch the story. The Daily Mail writes it. The Times of London writes it. The New York Post writes it. They won't touch it. They won't touch it. Even when he was detained. I mean, Bill Stevenson a couple of weeks ago was taken into custody. They didn't write a word about anything. I'll check if they're writing about this now. Something tells me they are. I just the whole big fish, small pond. Can you give me an idea of how powerful a United States senator was in a place like Delaware in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and afterward? He plays by different rules. Joe Biden stopped growing, my theory, in 1972. That's when he became a U.S. senator. And a lot of these guys, when they hit it big, they plateau intellectually. And a lot of weird stuff was going on in 1972 that doesn't happen today. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think you nailed Joe Biden. You nailed the personality. Bill Stevenson, super good guy. A lot of weird stuff can go on in Delaware with all the credit card and business interests going on there. So I'm just going to be very, very skeptical if somehow the Bidens are, exercising some revenge on this guy, maybe for being on your show so many times and blowing their whole story of falling in love after Biden's wife died. Could be. So I'm going to be very skeptical. I'm looking at the news as we speak. I don't see one thing about any evidence. It's not like they found her body buried somewhere. She died in her house. She was an older lady. Could they have had an argument and she dropped dead of a heart attack? Maybe, but that's not murder. So let's wait and see what happens. I'm with you on this one until we get any evidence.
Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.